Hey guys, Mr. Happy here and welcome to Final Fantasy Bestiary. This series is dedicated towards discovering the history and lore behind Final Fantasy's most iconic creatures and characters. This episode we are going to talk about the Ice Queen, Shiva. Now Shiva is one of Final Fantasy's most common recurring summons, and of course, she draws from real life inspirations, specifically Hinduism. Now, despite being a female in Final Fantasy, in Hinduism, Shiva is actually a male who represents a number of different things, depending on who you ask. Due to the different denominations of Hinduism, Shiva can either be a supreme god, one of the 5 primary gods, or even recognized with the title The Destroyer. Additionally, he is the patron god of yoga and arts. There are other religions that recognize Shiva as an important figure, but Hinduism is the most prominent. Now, Shiva in the Final Fantasy series is quite different, however. She's a tall female who's most often seen as the most scantily clad characters in the games. She usually barely covers herself with some light sheets of cloth or patches of ice, as well as perhaps some boots and some jewelry. She has pale skin and usually has light blue hair to help represent her relation with ice, as if we needed any further reason to believe that. Characteristically, she is generally non-hostile. Even when you face her as an enemy, she rarely does so intending to oppose the heroes. That doesn't mean she can't fight though. She is capable of artistic punches and kicks, as well as her famous attack, Diamond Dust. Shiva also almost always has some sort of connection to Ifrit, another summon in the series. They usually oppose each other in power, with Shiva's ice weakening Ifrit and Ifrit's fire weakening her back, becoming more about who lands the first blow. Despite this, they do seem to have respect for one another, thus making it a more friendly rivalry. Now, the first game that she appeared in was Final Fantasy III, where she was a level 2 summon magic. Of course, in classic Final Fantasy III tradition, she had a white, black, and high summoning, with her high summoning enabling her to use Diamond Dust. In Final Fantasy IV, she makes an appearance as Rydia's first summon after you reach the underworld, and even an optional boss in later remakes of the game. She additionally appears in the sequels as a summon as well, including as an enemy in the after years. Final Fantasy V, her appearance as a summon continues, and into Final Fantasy VI, she becomes a summon again, obtained as an Esper after a main boss fight in the story against her and Ifrit. After Kefka drained their power, they saw the heroes as potential enemies and sought to defend themselves before recognizing that they could help the heroes defeat Kefka. In Final Fantasy VII, 8, and 9, Shiva retains her importance as a summon, though as a Guardian Force in 8, we do see that she has some sort of relation to Ifrit, since he comments on it when you use her against him. In Final Fantasy X, Shiva is represented as an Aeon and as such represents the manifestation of when a faith merges with a summoner to give them power along their pilgrimage. Her faith is a Macellanian priestess, making sense since she is in Macellania Temple, a temple covered in ice. In the International and PAL version, you can challenge Dark Shiva as an optional super boss if you revisit Macellania Temple after escaping Bavel. And finally, she does make an appearance as a boss in Final Fantasy X-2 as an Aeon under Shuyin's control. The next Shiva to talk about is Final Fantasy XI, where in traditional Final Fantasy XI fashion, she has quite a bit of backstory. In the day of Final Fantasy XI, modern day Vana'diel, she is one of the 6 celestial avatars, followers of a false god. As with all of the celestial avatars, she was once mortal. In her youth, she ruled a small kingdom in South Vana'diel. She ruled it well despite her age, but her uncle sought to dethrone her. He managed to overthrow her and banish her to the Northlands, a cold, harsh environment, before he was dethroned as well by those who had helped him seize power. She died in the north, found by soldiers still loyal to her frozen in ice, before they died as well. The goddess Altana saw this and was moved by it, and as such decided to make Shiva the celestial avatar of ice. The general who led the troops, Eomatra, was made the brightest star in Shiva's constellation in the sky. In order to obtain her, you either had to solo her as a level 20 summoner, or go in with a group of level 60 players and defeat a stronger version together. She has a lot of her traditional attacks and deals either physical damage or ice-based damage with her skills. In Final Fantasy XII, take a guess. Yep, she's an airship. As for Revenant Wings, take a guess. Yep, she's actually a summon in this one. Oddly enough, in Revenant Wings, Shiva even has a lover and a child called Shivar and Shivan respectively. Very odd. Anyway, In Final Fantasy XIII, Shiva acts as Snow's Eidolon, though she is represented by a pair of sisters known as Styria and Nyx, who are called the twin sisters of Shiva. Styria acts as a medic and a Ravager role, while Nyx is a commando. In Final Fantasy XIII 2, they return to assist Lightning briefly against Caius in Valhalla, though likely not the exact same beings. And in Final Fantasy XIII 3, they are not seen until sometime towards the game's end, which I will not disclose at this time. And finally, we have the most recent of the numbered titles that is currently available, Final Fantasy XIV. We know little of Shiva's appearance in Final Fantasy XIV, but she will be a primal in A Realm Reborn, which, by the way, in case you are unfamiliar, primals are beings that are summoned by feeding them massive amounts of aether, and are powered by the pleas of the beastmen that worship them. We know nothing of her beastman race, though it was said that they are quote-unquote hulking beasts of the north, leading players to believe that the Gigas race may be responsible. This is further supported within a certain quest text saying that the Gigas seem to be drawn to the north by some unknown power. Hopefully, we will see more of the Queen of Rhyme soon. Of course, Shiva has been in quite a few non-numbered titles as well. Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Advanced, Type 0, Dimensions, and Dissidia, just to name a few. Regardless of where she pops in the Final Fantasy series, she was, is, and will always be a major representing force in the series. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Check out my other Bestiary videos as well as all of the other videos on my channel. Please and thank you. Also, be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. You can get updates about when I'm posting videos like this one, as well as many other videos. And of course, follow me on Twitch, where I do live stream, mostly Final Fantasy XIV right now, but I will be live streaming other games throughout the year. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.